And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's easier to make my list of the worst movies of the year than it is for the best of the year. And here we go, the 5 worst movies of the year. Jim, start us off.
I'm going to start with 30 Minutes or Less.
Ooh, oh boy.
A movie that was neither funny nor exciting, though it said it was going to be both. It was neither, and that's another one of these incredibly short movies that it's like, please, can I get out and push now? 80 minutes, it feels like you've been there all week. My fourth one would be The Right.
Oh boy.
What Anthony Hopkins was doing in a turkey like this is just beyond me.
I like that movie. Oh boy.
Well, that's
we got an Anthony Hopkins fan over here.
Yeah, I love Anthony Hopkins.
What's wrong with being an Anthony Hopkins fan?
The problem with The Right is it should have been a horror movie, and it didn't have the cojones to do it. It nearly chokes to death on its own earnestness, and is mind-numbingly boring for the most part.
Oh boy.
Then we have The Sitter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
Here we go.
A movie for which there is absolutely no excuse and almost nothing good I can say. The movie is loaded with people who should be doing better stuff than this, starting with star Jonah Hill. But we have a Tony Award nominee in there.
Sam Rockwell is in it, for crying out loud.
Sam Rockwell. He's made some better movies. Iron Man 2, The Winning Season, which came out last year, which he was pretty good
Conviction, where I thought he got robbed of an Oscar nomination. Rockwell is too good for this. Hill is too good for this. And I cannot believe that anybody in a major corporation this day and age would look at a movie with this many offensive stereotypes and say, maybe we'd like to rethink how many groups we would like to offend with a single movie.
And really, it's every conceivable demographic group. It's not just one or two. It's every conceivable demographic group, including children.
Yeah, they don't come off any better than the gays, blacks, or Latinos. Everybody should be offended by this movie. I certainly was. Just go with it. Adam Sandler did not have a great year this year, in my opinion.
I sort of have to disagree. I didn't see Just Go With It, but I saw Jack and Jill, and I thought it was very clever. But you say Just Go With It, huh?
Listen, Jack and Jill is Midnight in Paris next to Just Go With It. Just Go With It is one of the lamest, most predictable comedies imaginable, and somehow it even manages to slow down even more when Jennifer Aniston comes into it. She doesn't even provide a performance in this one. I think she phoned in outtakes from Friends. Just Go With It also has the dubious distinction of having the blandest, most boring, and undistinguished Hawaiian location photography of any history.
What's going on with Nicole Kidman? I heard she was in the movie, but so looking at clips on TV, Nicole Kidman's not in any of them.
I may have been her stand-in from the Stepford Wives. I'm not sure.
I liked Bewitched. That's my Nicole
Bewitched.
That's my Nicole
I didn't love
Kidman
Bewitched,
movie.
but I liked Bewitched.
I like Bewitched, yeah.
I think, frankly, the high points of Just Go With It are you are paying money to watch a celebrity's Hawaiian vacation, and you shouldn't. And the worst movie of the year, it really doesn't have any competition, is Dreamhouse.
Oh, boy.
A absolutely muddled psychological thriller with Daniel Craig and Rachel Weisz. The only thing to come out of this was the marriage of Daniel Craig and Rachel Weisz.
That's productive. That's productive.
Not for the viewer.
Not for the viewer.
So Daniel Craig kind of had a mixed year. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and
Rachel
Adventures of
Weisz.
Tintin over here and Dreamhouse over here. And there's also another Daniel Craig movie that's on my list. But we're going to get to Amy's.
Okay, I get to do my worst?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, number 5 has got to be Hobo with a Shotgun. And before we were discussing movies that nobody else saw, well, yeah. I think this is negative numbers. I think not only did nobody see this, but negative people saw it. It starred Rutger Hauer as a hobo with a shotgun. And that was it.
It's like the upcoming movie, Man on a Ledge with Sam Worthington. Hey, what's it about? For $1 million, what's it about? Man on a Ledge. There you go.
Well, there may be something that happens in Man on a Ledge.
It's just watching that trailer, I'm like, really? Oh my God.
But Hobo with a Shotgun was as advertised. There's a trailer. You could always see the trailer, and you'd be fine. You wouldn't be better for it, but you wouldn't be worse for it. My number 4 is Bad Teacher, starring Cameron Diaz as the title character. And that was a movie that made me wonder why anybody would make a villain who's so hateful that you just want to throw things at her for the entire duration of the film.
You want to throw apples at the teacher.
Yeah, I like villains. Like think of Hannibal Lecter. He's a villain. He's a serial killer, but you still kind of like the guy, right? Well, there's nothing likable about the Cameron Diaz character. You just want to boot her off the screen. So that was my number 4. My number 3 is Green Hornet. which I think is the worst Green movie of the year. I know that you also didn't like Green Lantern, but I think Green Hornet was much worse than Green Lantern. It was a superhero action comedy that...
Another bad one for Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, another bad one for Cameron Diaz. Yeah, it's a superhero action comedy that didn't really have genuine superheroes or action or comedy, so it failed on all three fronts for me. Number 2 was Vanishing on 7th Street, which is another one of those movies that I think only I saw. It was available actually streaming, and then it was released theatrically, and that pretty much, the plot in a nutshell was young urbanites hide from encroaching shadows that eat them and pull them to hell. So the movie consisted of people going, ah! while these inky stains reached for them and they ran away, outrunning shadows. And that was it, and so it wasn't very scary or well made or anything. And finally, of course, the number 1 had to be for me, The Sitter, which had no redeeming features whatsoever. And I've also found offensive on virtually every level. So those are my 5.
Wow, interesting list. All right, here we go for my list of the 5 worst movies of the year. Number 5, Cowboys and Aliens.
You said
what
this
a
just
mess!
To hurt me.
I'm sorry. Okay, it was so boring. It was so, oh my gosh, what a mess. Yeah, I remember that screening that night. I'm like, just get me out of here. Get me out of here. Number 4, I wanted to get out of this screening too. Happy Feet 2. I cannot sit through another movie of penguins just singing and dancing just because they want to be current and popular. There is no story whatsoever. They just wanted to do this because the original won the Oscar, and it made nearly $200 million. This is going to do neither. Number 3, Spy Kids All the Time in the World. I don't know why we needed a 4th Spy Kids movie. I only laughed once, and it was with Ricky Gervais. A line he said at the beginning of the movie as a narration. The rest of it, just a complete mess. Number 2, The Three Musketeers. I just hated this movie. From the performances to the slow motion to the action, just a complete mess. You hated it too?
I'm a little nervous about saying that I hated it because I brought my 11-year-old son, and he really liked it, but it was painful for me.
Yes.
It was
really painful, and the 3D just, oh boy. Number 1, the worst movie of the year, Green Lantern. The makeup was the only good thing in it, but I'm regretting even saying that. This movie had no story whatsoever. Ryan Reynolds is just standing there trying to be, a superhero. But Green Lantern, boy, I just hated this movie. Watching it, it's like, are you kidding me? There are so many cliches, just complete mess. Green Lantern, worst movie of the year for me.
I kind of liked half of it.
And the special effects
I liked half of it.
So
I didn't like
cheap.
Yeah,
they spent 10 cents on the special effects. What, we're supposed to think he's really in outer space fighting this weird creature? No, he's not.
And they're all green. And the thing is, my problem with that movie, my biggest problem with that movie, is that if you had the power to conjure up anything with just this magic ring, wouldn't you come up with something more interesting than, say, a giant fist?
Yeah.
It was very lame what he came up with.
Yes.
It wasn't very creative.
Nothing.
Well, in fairness, he did come up with giant fists in the comic book, and later on he does figure out a machine gun.
Okay, but a giant fist, a machine gun, come up with something to help solve world hunger, you've got the power, you've got this godlike power in your hands. And he doesn't do anything with it.
One thing Green Lantern does point out is a problem that the studios are doing to themselves. They keep painting themselves in the corners by announcing release dates before they've even started principal photography. And from all accounts, Green Lantern was still working on special effects within weeks of its release.
So it was rushed, you're saying?
I think some of those effects probably were very rushed.
And
but that's what Shatner says about Star Trek V.
He directed. He has to say something.
All right, well, these are some bad movies. We hope we've saved you some time and money by skipping all these movies that you haven't seen yet. Those are the worst movies of 2011.